You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good game, Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, and streaming live on Ustream, this is AFTERBUZZ TV for Glee. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest Glee news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, picking up where the show leaves off and the buzz continues, it's AFTERBUZZ TV for Glee.
Hello, fellow Glee.
Hey, hey.
I am Roxy Striar, along with a new host on this show, not new to AFTERBUZZ, though, of course, Sara Stretton.
Hey,
happy to be here
welcome.
with us on Glee.
I'm happy to join.
Why haven't you done the show with us before?
I've done this show once last year, a long time ago.
And
but
then you stopped.
I don't know.
I'm
I watch
dragging
every
you here
week.
with us.
I just,
Every time you're coming now. She's been suckered into it. We're stealing her.
It's a done deal.
And then we have regulars across the table. Well, not regular people, but regular to the show. Billy Nilles, hello. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Okay. And, of course, Mia Smith.
Hey, hey.
And in the booth, we have the fabulous DJ Jesse Janity. What up? What up? What up? Okay, so how are we feeling about West Side Story being done now?
I'm glad it's done. I'm glad we got to see it, but I'm also glad that plot line is over.
You're happy that it's done, but you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here. A huge West Side Story fanatic. So but it was carrying on too long in the Glee episode. So I was glad that it kind of
See, I'm not
wrapped
that
up.
big of a fanatic, which is why I'm sort of glad it's over. Like, I enjoy West Side Story, but the music isn't my favorite of all musicals, so.
Especially when you're not watching it as a play. It's like, okay, well, random selection here and there.
Like, luckily this week, at least they did a couple songs from the show that I do enjoy, but there were some of them that I could have done without. It's a hit or miss on that show for me.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who love that show, but
I'm with you.
Yeah,
I
I'm
love
like-
the show. So I'm just like, they could sing West Side Story the whole episode and I would have been completely fine.
Well, that's almost what they did. We got one song that wasn't West Side Story. How do we like the Warblers' performance tonight?
I kind of don't like the Warblers without Blaine.
Oh.
Who
who was their front man this episode?
It was good, but
They split it up, I think.
there was like 3 guys. It was Sebastian and that one main guy.
Yeah, but that
who
main
we'd
guy,
never
why
seen
didn't
before.
they make it Sebastian? Could he
Right.
just not sing that part? Why did
Maybe
they
not.
throw in some other
not.
person?
But I just felt like it was sort of lacking without Blaine's energy as like the front man of the group.
Well,
Yeah.
we just didn't have any connection to it.
Exactly.
Really. Like, you're just kind of like,
It was
oh,
kind
it's
of
a
like
group
when you,
singing.
Yeah, kind of like when we watch like Vocal Adrenaline or some other group with no one in it. We're just like, oh, it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't care.
I'd rather
about
listen to it on iTunes afterwards because I like the
Exactly.
sound.
I was okay with it because I like that whole sing-off type.
I like it a lot too.
You know, so it was just
I'm
like,
not
it
like
didn't work
knocking
for
how
me.
it sounds. There was no emotional connection because you don't know any of them.
But
Got it.
then when Blaine jumped in, though, we all were like, oh, okay, yep. And he just picked up those complicated steps
all
just
the
like
moves.
that.
in the
You
Glee
go.
universe, anyone just knows every choreography.
Yes.
I wish
I
he
mean,
had
the
gone.
teachers, everyone just jumps
The
in.
random band members.
Wait, because you guys were totally satisfied that was a female teacher. I was like, this girl is definitely their age. She did not look like a teacher.
In real
I
life?
think she was supposed to have been a teacher because it was an all-boys school. But
All of a sudden, I'm seeing a woman. I'm like, okay, where the hell did this
Where did she
female
come
student
from?
come from? They're all like, it's a teacher.
well, because she wasn't wearing a
Okay.
uniform, so I
Exactly.
feel like at Dalton, if there were girls, they would wear uniforms too.
Well,
'cause
she
all
was
the
in like,
students-
I guess that could be a uniform. No?
No.
What does a female uniform look like?
they usually wear like
Sweaters?
coats, too.
like the Warblers.
I don't know. I wore
same
spaghetti
thing, but
straps
with skirts.
to high school, so
I don't know. I
know.
didn't go to
I
school
did
with
too.
uniforms. So I don't know.
Uniforms? No.
I mean,
did
my
it.
stepsister goes to all-girls school, and they wear, like, the cardigan sweaters and the plaid
Okay, so
skirts
you guys are
and-
satisfied. This was a teacher. Yeah. Realistic. No.
No, not at all.
Okay, so let's jump into the episode a little bit and talk about a little more about this West Side Story and about the storylines that the characters were involved in here, starting with Artie as the director. I thought that this was a really good storyline for him, and I really appreciated his speech after the cast came to thank him, talking about what it is to him to be a director and to be a man and how that felt. What did you guys think about this?
It was good. It was really moving. And it was, I mean, there wasn't a lot with Artie this week, so it was nice that it wasn't just like forgotten about at the end of the episode, that they kind of carried that through and made it important to him. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing that explained, because I don't think that gets explained for people with disabilities, how they don't sometimes feel like they've grown up and matured because they have to be taken care of sometimes. And so it was nice to see that sort of given a voice on television, I think. I appreciated that.
Also, I totally agree. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I like that part. I liked, because we didn't really see Artie last week, really. And so we got a chance to really see him. And when he gave the whole speech about the whole sexual, I can't think of the right word at the moment, but he talked about his first time, and it was like a mini Artie spotlights tonight. Yeah. And I liked it.
I liked it,
We got to see his other side.
Yeah.
I agree. I like that they didn't drop it off. Like, they made him the director. They made a big deal about it, and at least they carried it through for this episode. I feel like a lot of times with Glee, they'll like leave you hanging for like 6 episodes and then bring something back, and you're like, oh, right. Why didn't you tell me this like a long time ago? So I liked how they like carried it through. They connected it to the last week. Also, I mean, it's hard. You can't say that his speech was bad because it was endearing. But
Yeah.
He did a good job. I really liked his rendition of the play.
His staging
I thought it was
impeccable.
Perfect. It was an interesting concept to me, something that I don't often think about because I am not in a wheelchair, but the concept of not being able to grow up because you physically are not growing up.
Right.
You know, and that was something that I really think that they did a good job. The writers really did a good job probably speaking for those people and trying to have us connect with that, because not being able to physically grow has to have a huge strain on your emotional growth. Yeah. So I really appreciated that speech. I thought it was well-rounded, and he did a good job. And I love seeing Artie because we missed out on him.
Yeah, I like Artie.
We also see a little bit of Mike in this episode, and him with his dad. So I thought that was very out of the blue. All of a sudden, his dad popped out of nowhere. It was like, oh, okay, and there he is. But
in the middle of the day at the high school.
Yeah, in the middle of the day at the high school. It was so important that he had to come down there and tell him, basically, listen, if you keep going on this path, I'm disowning you as a son.
Right.
It's something I really can't relate to. I've had 2 very supportive parents my whole life. What about you guys? Anytime with choosing the arts as your path, have there been issues?
Not to that extent, no.
Yeah, not to that extent. I don't. That was really, really dramatic. Like, out of nowhere, like within 2 sentences, like, it's not even a full argument. It's like, oh, if you make this choice, you're done. No, you're done. It's like, okay.
It did feel a little, like, I wrote that down. I was like, I mean, how realistic is that? Like, to an extent, would a parent, I mean, I can't speak to that. It's never happened to me or anyone even that I know. I went to an all arts school, so everyone there obviously was encouraged to be in the arts. So I don't even know that in my life I've ever seen that happen to anybody. I imagine it, of course, has, but it did feel a little over the top, a little melodramatic.
Just like thrown out there.
Yeah. But it was nice, though, to see sort of a continuation of that storyline. Like we were talking about how Glee sometimes will bring up storylines like 2 weeks ago or 2 episodes ago, even though it was before the break. We had that whole show about Mike and the issues with his parents. And it was nice to see that Glee didn't just like, oh, well, we're not going to ever talk about it again, because obviously Mike was going to do the show and his parents were going to find out, or his dad. So it was nice to see that they at least remembered it and did make some mention of it and kind of further that along, rather than just do 1 episode and then never talk about it again.
Definitely.
Because that would have been even more unrealistic.
Yeah, they even do that with small things like we talked about last week, the frickin' pot of gold. It's like the whole episode, she's like, oh, you're going to get my pot of gold. And then we never get to see the culmination of that. So I did appreciate that they went full circle with this. But I thought that there was a plan that him and his mom were going to tell the dad together. Wasn't that how they left it? She was like, listen, I support you, and we're going to tell your dad together.
I think it was they were going to tell him after the play was...
After the play?
Yeah, she was going to help him keep the secret, was what I remember.
And then they were going to tell him once it was done. That's what I thought, at least.
Yeah.
It was like,
right. But they didn't get the chance to do that because he came and attacked him at the school again in the middle of the day. So do we think that we understand at all where he's coming from? Because it is a very difficult career path to be a professional dancer. Chances are most likely you're not going to make it.
Right.
And you're going to work your whole life at it and you're not going to make it. Anybody who chooses a profession in the arts, those are the odds. So do we think that we understand where he's coming from, or is it a ridiculous way he went about it?
I think it was way too drastic. But like I was on the phone with my mom today, and she was saying, I really wish you did something else, something more stable. I don't like this career path for you. But she would never say, I'm going to disown you if you don't choose, to go back to school or to be in a regular career. Like, she would never say that to me. Yeah, but she doesn't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah, and I think that does actually happen to a lot of people. But I think for the most part, it comes out of like a loving place. It's because people care that they're like, they want you stable.
They want the best for you. They want you to not be
otherwise, they wouldn't care at all.
Right. And I think it's also sort of an exaggeration of that tiger parent, Asian parent sort of stereotype that exists, that they want their children to be academic and be the best they can be in academics and not do anything that's considered silly or nonsense, where sometimes the arts are considered that. And I think it's just was an over exaggeration of that stereotype with Mike's family because he's Asian. I think that they found the opportunity to do that. So, I mean, it's a little plain on stereotype.
Yeah, it's a little much. I mean, like, I had a lot of friends' parents who do really, really push academics, but a lot of people I know that actually push a lot of academics, also their parents will also push something about them like playing an instrument or playing and being like really good at it, like where they put them in like violin lessons when they were like 4 and they went like
the
5
culture.
times a week.
It does. I think
it's
it's
so
a cultural thing, and I think that in the Asian culture, I mean, I'm obviously not a part of it, so I can't speak to actual knowledge, but that's always out there. That's always the perpetuation of them, is that they are strictly about academics, science, maths. I mean, that's just what we are taught to believe, that is their emphasis.
Definitely. A good friend of mine who is Indian is a theater major at my school, and her parents to this day believe she's an engineering major because it's like completely, you cannot do that in her family. She would be disowned in a second. I don't know how she's getting away with that one, but and let's hope that somehow they're not listening to this right now. I just outed her. Jeez,
you outed her.
And her name is Samantha Bob. Yep, Samantha Bob. Sorry, Samantha Bob. No, but it's really hard, and luckily we come from supportive parents, because I think it's almost impossible to do it without that.
It is.
When you don't have the back of your parents, especially when you're in high school. I mean, these kids are young, so it's like if you don't have somebody pushing you to do what you love, you're screwed, kind of, I think, unless you're completely driven. So, but he seems to be completely driven and wanting to stick with professional dancing.
And he has the support of his mom, so he does still have that parent in his corner.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so moving on to a very humorous and sad part of this episode with Coach Beiste and Cooter.
Cooter Menkins.
Cooter Menkins, the Ohio Scout. Exactly. What did you guys think of this? And were we seeing this coming, where she was going to have a little bit of a love interest? Is this going to last? Do we like their chemistry? Is it a little forced to us? What do you guys think?
I love it. Beiste has found love. I hope it flourishes. And
the Beiste has found love.
Yeah,
it's cute.
It was really sweet. It was nice to see her get a storyline, because so often that she's just sort of comedic relief in a scene with Will or something like that. She's not often in the forefront of a story. So it was nice to see her, and it was nice to see sort of the sensitive side of her, and see that there's she is a woman. She does, she's not just the beast. And so it was great. It was touching, and it was sad in the locker room, but it was great to see them at the show at the end holding hands, and I was so excited, and I hope that it's continued. And
that Glee doesn't drop us there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet. It really brought me back to the episode from a couple seasons ago when she came on. It was her whole first kiss was with Will.
Yeah.
And it brought me right back to that moment about where she's so nice. Like, she's such a nice woman. And I was so happy that she, found someone who liked her back. And I thought when she got really teared up after, like, pushing those weights, I was like, oh.
Yeah, and the way that he spoke to her when she was like, I'm not a pretty girl, and when he was just so like,
you're a beautiful woman.
Well, good, because I date women. I was like, yeah, get her, go for it.
Yeah.
Her eyes are gorgeous too, especially when
does
she was
have
all
pretty
tearing
eyes.
up. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was just sitting there thinking, you know what? It's possible to be masculine and be feminine at the same time.
Oh, it totally
and
is.
just because your hobbies are masculine, what you choose to eat, where you choose to work, whatever it is, it doesn't mean that inside you don't have the same feminine feelings and want towards men. And it was hilarious when Artie was like, oh, you have never slept with a person? And she's like, men, I'm into men, Artie. It's like people just assume because she's very masculine that she's a lesbian, but she's clearly not.
Right.
And I like that they didn't go that way with her. They didn't just make her this masculine person and then have her crush on like Emma or something, you know?
Right.
So I think they did a good job with this storyline. But I really do hope that they don't drop this, because I can kind of picture it just like going by the wayside and them saying, well, it didn't work out, but at least I had my first or something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just stick with it, see where it goes. Hopefully it will grow into something. Did you guys like the coach?
The scout?
The scout? Yeah, the
Oh,
scout.
yeah, he was cool.
With her, he was sweet. I think, I mean, in the other scenes, he didn't really do much.
Right.
But that one scene in the locker room, I did like a lot. And it sort of endeared me to him the way that he was. What I was worried about was in the beginning when she was telling Artie how she liked him. I was afraid that he was going to like crush her, and it was going to be a storyline where he was like a jerk. And so I'm really glad it didn't go there.
Yeah.
Into that sort of predictable territory where he would have been like looking down on her because she was butch. And something like that. So I was really pleased that they didn't go that way with it.
Yeah, but the other thing that they helped the scout do to move the plot along was with Finn. So what do we think now that Finn is not getting recruited by Ohio? Did we think it was going to go that way? Because
No.
I honestly believed that this was going to be all good interactions. And he tells Finn, listen, there is no football for you post-high school.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I kind of saw it coming. I don't think that Finn, like, realistically, no one would scout Finn because he isn't devoted to football. Like, I don't think he is as devoted to football as he wants to be because he splits his time with Glee and all that stuff. So I don't think a scout would actually look at him. So I really didn't see it going like that way. I wasn't surprised when he shot him down and was going actually after the new boyfriend of... What's her name?
Who are you talking about? Rory, the little Irish kid?
No, who the scout actually went
Mercedes.
after. Mercedes boyfriend. Thank
I
you.
was just like,
I was
huh?
totally blanking on her name
like,
because she
what's
wasn't in the
going on?
episode at all.
What are you trying to say?
So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't, to be honest. I kind of have a feeling that it was this whole season. The storyline is kind of like Finn figuring out what he's going to do because none of these things he's good enough for. I felt like that's where the show's been building for us.
Yes.
And especially last week, we saw Bert sort of tell him, he could take over the shop if he wanted.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel like that's where the show has sort of been guiding us, that Kurt or Finn is going to have to be deciding what he's going to do.
And technically, so he can stay in the same town and still be on the show Glee.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
And it's just interesting to me though, like how they make like all of their dreams. Like you have so many of them want to go into the arts, and then Finn's kind of out of nowhere, and then the rest of them, I have no idea what they want to do. Have they really mentioned it?
Well,
I think they just kind of focus on the seniors, right?
Puck wants to work at pools all the time. And should I go down the list? No, yeah, and it's interesting that, but I think it's very much like high school. Some kids know what they want to do. Most kids have no freaking idea what they want to do.
Yeah.
This is true.
So it's why the majority of kids that go to college go in as undecided, because they don't know. So I think that some people are like, yep, this is what I want to do. Mike knows what he wants to do. Rachel knows what she wants to do. Finn seems to know what he wants to do, kind of, sort of.
I think he knows
He thought
likes
he knew what he wanted
things.
to do, but I think he's realizing that it might not be possible for him
Yeah.
to do what he wanted to do, which is also completely realistic for seniors in high school who have been,
Like Sugar. She wants to
Right.
sing, and
kids
oh God,
who've
is
been
she
doing
awful.
something for so long in the field, and they're not that they're okay, but they're not a Rachel Berry. But they sort of, some of them come to that realization that I can't do this forever. What am I going to do?
The hardest thing I learned going from high school to college was in high school, you can get the lead in every one of your shows. You can be the best actress at your school, but you're coming to your college to do that, and every single person you're going up against was the lead in the show, was the best actress at their high school. So it's like you might think you're the best from your town, your city, wherever you come from. There's a whole world out there. And if you're just mediocre from where you're from, like Finn, how the hell are you going to play at Ohio?
Well,
you know?
I think I don't think Finn has found his thing. You know, I think he's just kind of, hey, I played football growing up. Sure, I'll be on the football team at high school. I like to sing. Sure, I'll join Glee. I don't think he's found his.
Hopefully,
his
he'll
calling.
love cars, and then that will work
And then
out.
it's
for
done.
him.
Yeah.
I really hope that's where it goes with him. How do we feel like Rachel dealt with the situation though when he was sitting there and was like, "Listen," not talking about when she tried to sleep with him for the show. When he comes out to her and says, "I didn't get recruited and I'm freaking out," and she says to him, "Listen, you've outgrown your dreams. We'll make new dreams." Wasn't expecting it to go there. Wasn't a very Rachel Berry comment. Were we taken aback by that, or?
I just thought it was. There's always those moments where Rachel can be self-aware and she can pull back the sort of ego that she always maneuvers through, and she sort of pulled that back, and she was very real with him and comforting, and she was like, "Look, this is gonna happen, and we can fix it. We can work through it." But I thought it was nice to see her really warm with him and not sort of either sort of deny what he was saying and tell him it would be okay, but really be like, "Look, it's real that
It's
you
what it
probably
is,
can't
yeah.
do this, and we'll figure something else out through it. But you still have me." And I think that was what she was doing. It was nice. It was good to see her comfort him.
It was exactly what I would want to be told if I was in Finn's shoes.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it's going to be okay. It's like, it's not, it's going to work out the way you want it to. It's going to work, so let's make it.
Let's find a way
exactly.
to make it work. Yeah.
So I really liked that. Talking more about Rachel and Finn. So, I mean, this is the episode. This is the episode that they first sleep together. If I hadn't known at the beginning of the episode that they were going to by the end, because obviously we knew from AfterBuzz and we gave it in our spoiler alerts. But if I hadn't known, I didn't think by the end of the episode they would have done it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I wouldn't have known.
Even watching, so even with that first, want to be sexy, you still wouldn't have thought it was going to happen.
I would have thought that between the two of them, only one of them would have.
Yeah, and I think I would have thought it would have been
were.
Kurt and Blaine.
Yeah. I just thought that if I hadn't have known, because the show, I mean, with the last time the show focused on virginity in the first episode with the Madonna, like a virgin, we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Not everyone went through with it. And so I kind of felt like it was going to be like that again, where not everyone did it because they're different. They're not the same people. They're not going to make the same choices. So if I had known it, I don't think I would have thought both of them would have.
Well, I don't know. I felt like tonight was all about growing and learning and sharing, and so it was just I felt assuming that I did not know after that whole conversation between her and Blaine and everything that they just gone through, I wasn't surprised at all. I thought it was a good ending.
Yeah.
To kind of...
I thought it was a good ending for sure, too. But I liked that I was taken a little bit aback, and I didn't know if it was going to happen, and I think it's probably more realistic that way. How often when people plan it, we're going to have sex at this time, at this date, does that actually work out?
Oh, yeah, of course. It doesn't.
Yeah, and I didn't know the spoiler alert from last week, so I had no idea that...
That's because you weren't at AfterBuzz.
Because I wasn't here. I would have known.
Tisk.
But I would have completely only thought that it was going to be Kurt and Blaine. I thought that when Finn first got offended, I thought it was going to start like a huge fight or something. I did not think that they were going to be resolved by the end of the episode. So I thought they were going to like have a problem, and then Kurt and Blaine were going to come together.
Mm-hmm. How would you guys have taken that if Finn wasn't losing his virginity, but so if you were not losing your virginity, but your significant other was, and that was the way, when you asked them, why now, they said, well, I've got to do it before opening up night. Offensive, or you take it for what it is?
Offensive.
I think that...
I don't know.
I would have been offended. I don't know how realistic it was for Finn as a 17-year-old kid to be offended. I'm glad that they made him offended and made him sort of mature about it rather than just go through with it anyway. I was very pleased with that. But yeah, that's completely offensive. Even though you're not losing it yourself, you still want any time to be special, I would think, because it was their first time as a couple. Yeah. Regardless of whether it was his first time in general.
And they've been together a long time, on and off, but a long time.
So completely offensive if your first time, she says it's because she has to get it done for her role. No.
It kind of bothered me a little bit, though, that Rachel ended up losing her virginity to Finn, only because she is so Little Miss Perfect, and I kind of wanted to see her planning on losing it to him and then getting drunk one night and sleeping with somebody random. and being like, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. But that's not what happened. Wow, that sounded really mean of me. Oh my God.
I'm like,
Well, it's not like she's a friend of mine. It's the character that I love to hate because she is obnoxious.
She is. I'm glad it didn't happen because I feel like that just would have been a repeat of like the first season when
Yeah.
she like
Yeah.
made out with Puck and she sort of cheated then. It would have
I know, but
been...
I would have rather her to have lost her virginity and Finn not to have, because it was, it was
Yeah.
way more typical that the boy does it and it's not
Yeah.
a problem. The girl waits, and
Well, she did wait.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's more typical that way, and I don't want typical.
She wants the atypical.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, Glee brings us the atypical usually, so I wanted a little bit of that. But I thought it was a funny scene when she calls together the girl meeting, and they're all sitting and talking there. It's really the only time that we see a lot of the characters in the episode.
Together.
And the reasons why they said that she either should lose her virginity or not. So Quinn says, no, don't do it. Look what happened to me. And Santana says, no, don't do it. Your boyfriend sucks in bed. Brittany has some little funny comment, as she always does. And then Tina comes out.
Alien invasion. Oh, it just came
Oh,
to me.
yeah, alien invasion. Wait, I wrote down that quote somewhere.
Yeah, she was
Wait,
was she at cheer
what did
camp
she
and he
say?
just came in her buzz.
Yeah,
Alien
I
invasion.
lost my virginity at cheerleading camp. He just climbed into my tent. Alien invasion.
Love it.
Awesome. You go, girl. Like, freaking hysterical. But so we're getting all these no, you shouldn't do it from girls that we would figure would say, yes, do it. And then finally Tina says, I lost my virginity in the perfect way to a guy I love, and I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you need to hear. Like, it sounds so stupid, but I remember before I lost my virginity, what, she's not a virgin? I went on Google and was like, when is too soon? When is, yeah, whatever. I'm not even kidding you. Like, because you hear all these people who are like, I regret losing my virginity. And I was like, how the hell do you know if you're going to regret? Like, how do you know? And all these horror stories online that are like, if you are below the age of 35 and not married, do not lose it. Trust me. Like, I slit my wrists and gouged my
Were you
eyes
on
out
like
after.
a Christian website? What were you on?
Yeah, like where were you?
I read
reading?
like 50 different blogs. I'm not kidding you.
Below
like, this is actually
35
really,
and married.
Hey, this is actually an embarrassing secret about me that I did that. Like, I spent like hours and hours on the web trying to figure out how you
When
knew
was
if
appropriate?
it was when was appropriate.
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
I knew that one was coming. Okay. But yeah, and I think that it's really important that you hear both sides of the story,
Yeah.
because if you're just hearing no, 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 you might miss the opportunity to lose it to the right guy.
Right. And I think that
That's
it is
hard.
important to see that sort of the honesty that Tina gave. That was important, I think, for kids watching this show.
Yeah.
It was very mature and very honest that, look, if you feel like you're ready, if you actually believe that you're in love with this person, if you've been together for a while, if you've come to this decision together, then there's nothing wrong with that. If you understand the severity of it and what it means to the two of you,
100%.
then there is nothing wrong, and you're being careful and you actually love that person. It's nothing to be ashamed of or afraid of. And it was nice to see that message given on TV, as opposed to the typical just no, wait
Exactly.
until you're sure.
Go ahead.
Wait or get pregnant.
Yeah, I totally like the message. Well, at my school, there wasn't any, wait for the right moment, wait till you're in love. It was just like, what? You're a virgin still? Like everyone was
Really?
having sex, and it was no surprise. And then when you did lose, it was just like, oh, you lost it. How was it? Great, good.
Yeah.
You're on the same train as everyone else.
Yeah.
It wasn't any special moment.
Yes.
Well, I mean, my first time was special, but it wasn't a girl meeting called or
It's funny because I have friends who have lost their virginity perfectly and love the way that they lost it. And I have friends who feel like they lost it too quickly. But I also, and this is something I never anticipated, I have friends who go and say, I should have lost my virginity to that person.
Yeah.
But I was, at the time, I didn't know if I was too young or if my parents would agree or whatever. So I didn't, and I'll never be able to again. And that sucks. It's just as hard knowing who should have lost it to and not.
Right.
So I thought that was really good. We got two sides of the story. And it is true that Rachel should have lost her virginity to Finn. And for the rest of her life, it was her first love. And she should have lost it to him, and she did. even though I didn't want her to because I wanted her to get
want
screwed.
her
to be a bad girl.
But if I was a nice person, which sometimes I can be, I know it's a shocker also, but then I would say yes, she did the right thing.
Yeah.
So we're all on the same page there.
Yes.
But we across the school, we have another losing of the virginity going on. They go through some hurdles as well. So Kurt and Blaine, and now there's Kurt, Blaine, and Sebastian.
Yeah.
All right,
Who was cute too, by the way.
I was gonna say, just as a character, not talking about with Kurt or with Blaine or whatever it is. Sebastian, what do we think of him as a character?
He's very attractive, but he scares the crap out of me. He's so
Forward.
Yes.
He's so forward. People
Aggressive.
like that, like in real life, I would like literally never talk to that person.
I
again,
would
'cause
jump
they
his
would make
bones so fast. Oh my god.
No, he
would
would make
totally
me
get it.
so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Okay, so
He
no
would have made
aggression.
me so uncomfortable. Like
He's
I like aggression, but
awkwardly
like,
aggressive.
Right, exactly.
He's
like
like-
too aggressive.
Well, it's because it's more like wordy aggressive a lot. Like, you're really sexy.
yeah.
Sarah, you don't like aggressive?
What?
What? Don't ask me that
What are you
question.
talking about?
AfterBuzz TV exclusive.
I just think that there is a
Why
way,
you don't do shows with friends.
right? There is a way to be like
She's turning so red right now.
sexy aggressive, and he wasn't.
No, okay, sorry. Okay. Yes, you're right. There's a way to be sexy aggressive. I think that it was. I think he was complimenting him. I think his eyes were on it. I think he was like working it. I was
He was
like
working it.
Well, first of all, like the amount of emotions going on inside me about like how badly I was attracted to these guys, like I've never been like, wow, I really want to screw these gay guys. Like I feel kind of awkward right now. Like, oh my God, like I'll have a threesome with these gay guys. And like, it was, don't make the sound again, Jesse. I know your finger was going to it. No, but honestly, they're so hot. Oh my God.
No, yeah, they're pretty hot.
They're the best looking guys on this show.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It was so hot. And I like that they put in a new character because we were getting way too comfortable with Kurt and Blaine. Kurt and Blaine.
Shake it up.
Shake it up. And showing that gay people have hurdles too. It's not just you.
You come out and then it's fine.
It's not, you don't just come out and then you get crap and then it's fine. And then there's no other gay person that ever could interfere. Like, it's like, of course there are. And of course there are people that get in the way of couples. Just like in straight couples. It's the same frickin' thing. So I'm glad that they added this guy in. I'm glad that he's hot. What I'm not happy about was how much I wanted him and Blaine to hook up. And I felt guilty about it the
You
whole
should feel
time.
guilty.
Yeah.
I was
Yes,
sitting there
feel
thinking,
guilty.
oh
Okay,
my-
here's
oh,
the thing.
You guys are so mean.
In the very first scene, I'll give you wanting to see them hook up. But
Yes.
then when they're at the coffee shop and Blaine says, I have a boyfriend, and he says, I don't care if you don't care, that's where like it stopped
Yeah, no,
being
I
like
totally
hot, and then he
agree.
turned into like a jerk.
I totally agree. That was very douchey. And at the club, knowing what was going on. But the first scene, I was like,
The first scene,
chemistry.
yes,
He
there
was like
was
singing
chemistry.
to him. Yeah.
chemistry. And why did
hot.
Glee do that to me? Why'd they do that? Why didn't they put somebody on that he had no chemistry with?
Well, then we wouldn't have
Because
wanted
then
to
it
talk about it.
And then it wouldn't be as good when he turned him down.
Exactly.
Like if it's just some guy that you're like, he's
And
not
I think
that
there's
cute.
going to be a continued struggle with this. I don't think this is
like
the end
it.
of Sebastian.
Yeah, he's on for a little bit, and he's hot, and I would
I
like
think
to
that,
look at him.
Yeah. But I don't know, I felt bad for Kurt. I mean, I've personally been in situations like that, and it's the worst feeling on the planet when
It
you
is.
see someone
Oh, God.
like having chemistry with somebody who you love so much. That fear is probably like the worst. Like that's worse than like the fear of like not being able to pay your rent, not being like that
Yeah.
fear is the worst fear
Because-
on the entire planet, in my opinion.
Especially because they're so different. Sarah and I were having a conversation earlier this week about our lives and about when you see an ex with a girl that isn't like you, it's way more threatening than somebody who is like you. Because if she's like you, it's like, well, she'll never be me. I'm a better version of her. But if she brings something to the table
That's different.
that you cannot offer because of your personality, because of your looks, because of who you are, it is like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh my
How do
God,
you-
that's
how do
where
you
I like
compete
just went
with
through
that?
this.
Yeah, it's,
how do you
it's the
compete?
biggest. You
It
can't
sucks.
compete with
Exactly.
somebody that is not in competition with you.
Yeah.
It's like impossible. And honestly, I think that Kurt and Sebastian are so different that it's like Kurt. If what Blaine ended up wanting was a Sebastian type,
There's nothing
he would never want
couldn't
Kurt.
be it.
And that's why it's so like, damn.
Yeah.
But I like how Kurt really was like, marking his like
Yes.
territory. He's
Yeah,
like,
linking the
my
arms.
going
Yeah, yeah.
On the dance floor.
Yeah,
He
going
was
on the
looking
dance
at him.
floor.
I'm
like,
doing my little shimmy in the middle of you two.
And I'm really happy that Kurt, when they got in the car and Blaine tried to hook up with him, that Kurt wasn't just like, okay, I'm going to do this to have
To
fun,
save him,
to save
and
it,
to
yeah,
save
and to
it, yeah.
and to make him mine, like pissing all over his territory, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, this is not right. This is not how it should be, because I didn't see that guy. In that moment, I was like, oh no, Kurt's about to have sex with him and really
Yeah, I
regret
thought so
this,
too.
and that's going to be brutal. So I was really happy that they waited.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody want to see any more sex?
Oh,
Yes.
Go ahead. Going back.
I wanted to see more sex, but what I was going to say is that was anyone scared that like when Blaine walked off, he was going to go
to Sebastian?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Where
I
was
was
Sebastian?
terrified. I was
If Blaine
terrified.
does this, I will never like him again.
Same. And I was like, where's Sebastian? Uh-oh, where is he? Is he
I know.
lurking in the bushes? What's
I know.
going on?
Oh, I was so scared.
But that's when I
we
feel
were
like,
all thinking that because I was like, what's going on?
Yes.
that's when I feel like Glee kind of drops the ball sometimes. Like, if all four of us are sitting here asking, where's Sebastian? Clearly everybody's asking, where is he? At least show a scene of him later, or show him walking out of the club a different way, or show him going up to Blaine and Blaine rejecting him. Don't just pretend he never was at the club.
Yeah.
Don't just completely forget about his character. I know you only have an hour, really 40 minutes to get all this in, but like, give us a 30-second, what the hell happened to Sebastian?
And they presented him as this, really forward, aggressive guy. So he really
why
just
would he
let
have
Blaine and
given
Kurt
up?
walk out and then
Yeah.
then
And
walk
Exactly.
with them.
It was
and
not
give a hug.
character-like. Exactly. That's what bothers me sometimes about this. So that was annoying. But other than that, I was really happy with the chemistry there, even though I kind of wanted them to hook up. I guess that makes me a bad person. What?
Yeah, you want Rachel to have sex with someone
I know.
other than
I
Ben.
just
You
want
don't
tonight.
want
The
the
just want the
drama. The drama. So about the drama.
This is
What was
not
that? Kim
Jersey
Possible? I don't know. So not the drama. Whatever. Okay, make fun of me all you want. What about Karofsky being at the club?
I liked
bar.
it.
I
liked
really
really
liked
that
it. I thought it
moment.
was a little like
It felt like some closure. To me.
Yeah.
Whether we ever see
Definitely.
Karofsky again or not, I was sort of pleased to see that
It was
he's
like,
on
where
his
the hell
own
did he
path.
go?
Right, and it felt like it was nice to see that he's on his own path, that he's slowly working to accept himself. He's doing it somewhere where he feels comfortable, that is also removed from his life, so he doesn't have to have that fear like he had when he was at McKinley.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
and he was nice to Kurt.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he was like, go protect your man. Like he was almost like a friend, which
Yeah,
was nice.
it wasn't just about accepting himself. It was about accepting his culture and other people that he felt were similar to him in some way. And from beating up people that were gay to acknowledging that he was gay,
Right.
to being okay with other people being gay.
Right, and
It was
that
very nice art.
the acceptance of others comes when you accept yourself.
Yeah,
so clearly that's a
exactly.
signal that he is beginning to accept himself, that he can go to a
Right.
gay bar and not want to just beat people up, but rather enjoy the company of them.
Yeah,
It's
and
a sign that he's becoming okay with himself.
what was his nickname? Bear
Cub.
Cub.
Bear
He's
Cub.
a bear cub.
And I really liked that he wasn't with another guy. I thought that would have been way too quickly. Like, if they had made him all
Yeah.
groping all over some other dude, he
It
was
was
there.
very real.
He was
very
real
low
as-
key.
yeah.
He had the hat on. He didn't want anyone to know he was there, but he was there.
He was there.
Once inside, he felt safe.
Exactly. And I thought that was great. So I really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers the majority of the episode, unless anybody has any other things.
I just have
Yeah,
one
go.
little tidbit, and it's very random, but I just have to say it. Santana was hot tonight. This
Santana
whole episode, and
is
her
so
red
sexy.
when the hair pulls to
Yeah.
the side, I was feeling it the entire night.
I loved the way that they intercut a lot of the music, the rehearsal scenes with scenes that it thematically made sense.
Yes.
I really liked how they used that
The
like that.
songs
The
and
direction
stuff.
was really well, the way that they spliced the speaking scenes together with that to sort of guide you into the theme of it. I really I enjoyed
Very
that.
true.
This episode was so clearly thought out, and,
Yeah. It
and
was.
they so were planning for this for so long. Even in keeping which West Side Story songs to keep until the last episode of it, because they wanted that and the plot to go. I thought that they really did a good job, and when things happen exactly like you're saying, they really killed it on this episode for the most part.
Yeah.
So I
We
was
just needed more sex.
yeah, I just wanted some sex because
I thought though that scene was very sweet. Like I
thought so,
liked
too.
how they handled it, and they've obviously were afraid of getting heat from the Parents Television Council, which they did anyway.
Yeah.
There was already like a boycott to tell
yeah.
people not to watch this with their kids, so I know that's why they probably went very demure with it. But
Yeah.
it felt romantic to me, which I thought was more appropriate because it was more about this first love, like that sort of thing, and it played that more to me.
Definitely. The only thing that I'm talking about really is last week, and when we were talking about our news and gossip and spoiler alerts, we heard that Lea Michele was like, "Oh my God, doing this scene, it was so uncomfortable. He was sweating all over me." Like, but then it ended up looking real hot. Like the way she described it was so not the way I pictured it.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to tell when we were in there, and I was like, "I'll save you the disgusting news right now because you're probably going to think the scene's hot, and we're going to be sitting there like, oh, he's dripping on her. Ooh, gross." But that's not what happened at all.
No.
At all.
Not even close.
There was like full clothing on everyone.
Everyone had shirts on.
I mean, they even had socks on. So come on, they were very well clothed for sexual encounters.
Yes.
Okay, but I think that pretty much covers
Yeah.
the episode. Yeah, and let's cut to a commercial break so we can come back and get a little.
The biggest new media platform on the web just got bigger. More bandwidth, smoother streaming, lightning fast download.
Don't get technical with me.
AfterBuzz TV is making the jump to hyperspace. Join the fun at your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Look at the size of that thing.
AfterBuzz TV.
Go ahead, Jesse, with the news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so Little Miss Lea Michele talking about how she pumped Corey up to do their scene, said, quote, "When Corey and I were doing our scene, the crew came up to us and they were like, look, we just want you to know that Darren and Chris were really hot. They went for it." She said, "So I was like, listen, Monteith, we've got to do better than them. We've got to turn these people on, and we have to top those boys. Poor Corey, but it was great. It really was."
But that leads me to believe maybe more was shot than made the show.
That's what I'm
thinking.
saying. It's bizarre because the way that they talked about it, I mean, I read so many interviews with all 4 of them talking about it, and they were like, it was so hot. Like, oh, it was kind of disgusting. Oh, we were excited about the way it turned out. Ooh, sexy. And like, we didn't
Where was
see
that?
anything.
Right. Either they shot more than they put in the show, or they were just talking it up to make people excited.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't.
I think
shoot
probably
it.
a
latter.
mixture of both.
Yeah.
Mixture of both.
So I was like,
Yeah, didn't match to what we saw.
I didn't feel that.
Just hugs and
It was
hand
like,
holding.
hi.
And there was definitely some footsies going on, okay?
Yeah, with
Don't
Kurt
forget about the
Blaine.
footsies.
Can't be about the pussy.
Blaine's barefoot.
Ooh, scandalous. Scandal, like the club. Go ahead, Jess.
So Chris Colfer told TV Line about how he first reacted to receiving the script for tonight's episode, saying prior to getting the script, Ryan approached Darren and I and told us that they were doing a virginity episode. And Darren and I just kind of looked at each other with wide eyes like, huh? What? And while we always have faith in the writers, we were a little skeptical. But then we got the script and shot it and everything was fine. What I thought could be raunchy and over the top was just sweet and emotional. That's kind of how it is with Glee. Ryan will come up and tell me they're tackling this big sensitive issue. I'll freak out, but then I have no reason to freak out because it's always handled really well.
Okay, that fits more of what
Yeah.
the show felt like.
Exactly.
So I know that Chris has been pitching this storyline for a really long time that we don't know what it is, but it's about him and Blaine.
Yeah.
And he won't share what it is.
I read
but,
this.
Yeah,
that
but
too,
apparently it's like wicked raunchy or something, and he really wants to do it, but
No one will
Ryan's
let-
Ryan's
write
like
it in.
not letting you doing this, and he like won't back down and is sure that it's gonna happen eventually. So, and he's like, and you'll know what it is because you'll be shocked. And a lot of people thought it was them losing their virginity, but apparently it's not.
Yeah.
So we can look forward to that maybe,
Yes, hopefully.
whatever it is.
I'm so like puzzled as what it could be.
What could it be?
Like group sex.
Orgy. Yeah, but first you'd have to lose your virginity to have an orgy.
Yes.
I think.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
All right, luckily Shelby has a more positive encounter with her biological daughter, Rachel. When she asks her help in getting into that art school in New York, we also learn that Rachel's guilt over running against Kurt will lead her to withdraw from the race during the campaign speeches. But he faces a bigger threat in Brittany and her campaign promised to bring topless Tuesdays to McKinley High.
Yeah. What do we think she actually means by that, or do we think she means topless?
She
means something crazy.
It's gotta mean something else.
What? I wish I lived in her head, so I know.
Yeah, I know. I wish I lived in her head the most. Like,
yes.
That would be amazing. My life would rock.
I'm
Totally
surprised that they're
awesome.
going to have Rachel drop out. I mean, tonight they mentioned she was polling first, which one I don't believe. No one likes Rachel
Not
at
at
school,
all.
so how in the world she could have been polling first,
Well,
I don't
she is
even understand.
Maria. Famous.
True, but I didn't buy that one at all.
Yeah, I know, but it's not like her competition are the most popular kids in school.
True.
But Brittany's
You would just think
a
that
cheerleader.
Brittany's a Cheerio.
Yeah.
That's true.
I was
but
kind of-
people, hopefully people are actually voting based on intelligence, and maybe people don't really know that Brittany's a genius, which we know.
Maybe.
Total genius.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
In Brittany land.
are you not on Team Brittany with us? Because, like, we are Team Brittany here.
No, I do like Brittany. I will not
Okay,
say
you
You
can
can
stand
only
it.
come back. I'm like, you can only come back if Team
She's
Brittany.
brilliant. I've decided she's, like, frickin' brilliant.
Okay.
Up and moving
moving
on.
on.
Okay.
All right, another spoiler alert. There's a fight coming up between Finn and Santana to cope with her anger over Mercedes being voted head of the Trouble Tones instead of her. Santana starts talking massive amounts of trash against Finn, and in the heat of the moment, he tells Santana to come out of the closet already so she can stop making everyone as miserable as she is.
Oh.
Unfortunately, someone involved in the congressional race overhears this and uses it against Sue, starting a smear campaign called Sue Supports Lesbians. They reveal that she has a lesbian as her head cheerleader with actual photos of Santana and insinuate that she may in fact herself be a lesbian. In the final mash-off performance between the Trouble Tones and New Direction, Santana barely scrapes by without breaking down, but gets it together long enough to serve up a big slap to Finn in front of the whole school.
That's a lot of
Wow.
spoiler
Yeah,
alerts.
I'm
Oh my god.
My heart is heavy right now.
That was like the whole episode.
I know.
Yes, I know. We just spoiled everything for
I
everybody.
feel like that's next week, too.
Yeah.
I saw that they're going to play dodgeball against I feel like that's next week. But who could use that against Sue except for somebody in Bert's campaign? And that makes me so sad that Bert's campaign would do something so kind of crappy.
It's got to be somebody else. It can't. Bert
If
would
it's
never.
Bert, that'd be
Bert
so
would never
bad.
support that ever. It's got to be some random.
I hope.
I don't really
Because
know.
we don't
but,
know any other opponents.
What do
in
we
the
think
race.
about the possibility of Sue being a lesbian? I know that. Remember, there was that whole
She
thing
had
where
that date
Will
with that guy with the newscaster.
yeah, she
and-
was like really into him.
I don't
and
think
Will
she is.
Schuster, remember, like tried to seduce her, and she
Yeah.
was down for a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think she will be.
I think when it comes to lesbians, Glee goes the opposite route. Like, Beiste is not gay, so I don't
Yeah.
think Sue
But
will be
Santana
gay.
and Brittany are. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or Santana is. Brittany doesn't really
Brittany's just, off in her own world.
Yeah.
Yeah, she.
know. As a genius.
Brittany's just a lover.
Okay.
Okay, wait. What else did we just hear is going on? So much.
Finn and Santana fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Because of this open secret.
And a slap in the face. Yeah, Finn needs a little slap
Yeah.
in
He
the face right
does.
now.
I'm down for a slap.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Maybe a kick or something too.
Yeah.
I think that was a lot. Oh my god.
That was a lot. I'm looking forward to it. Santana
Definitely.
storyline is going to be awesome.
The girl is so hot.
So hot.
And we see in we'll talk about in predictions that she's got some solos coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right, well, that's your AfterBuzz TV news and gossip for the week of November 8th, 2011.
Awesome. Moving on
Thank
to
you.
prediction.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so we just talked.
what can we predict?
Yeah, we just talked a little bit.
Yeah,
about, we actually
kinda
know what's
ruined
happening.
it,
But okay, we see that there was in the scenes coming up that there was a Rachel versus Santana showdown.
It sort of seemed like it was like the Trouble Tones versus
Yeah.
Glee showdown. And
New Direction.
They mentioned that
New
in
Directions.
there.
And now what we heard that it's sort of a
mashup?
fight between Finn and Santana more so than Rachel and Santana.
Assuming
Right.
that is next week.
Right.
Also, that I know that Quinn tries to become a Trouble Tone because she wants to get closer to Shelby and see what's going on there.
yeah.
But Puck spills the beans and is like, listen, this is her plan, and completely destroys it for her.
Well, because apparently Puck is in love.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, those clips. I mean, I'm glad that we're going back to it. It
Why
felt
didn't
so
we see
weird that
anything this
didn't see any
episode?
this week. It seems like they've been like flopping back and forth between like
Why do they do that?
there's like two storylines
no
and
balance.
then this and then they go like there's no
was-
balance because
it
there's just
was-
so many characters. I feel like Glee
Yeah.
doesn't know how
There's
to
so
handle that
many.
many characters.
And in this season, they're giving everyone a storyline. You
Yeah.
know? It's not just the main three.
Which I do like, because
Yeah.
I remember last season watching it and just being like, "What about that guy?
Yeah.
What about?" And
Yes.
it was about
Right.
Mike. I was like, "What about the Asian kid in the back?"
right.
The Asian
Like,
kid in the back.
it's your-
Who we never heard
and
speak.
it is nice too because to be honest, like I feel like Sue's gonna be back next week. She wasn't in this week. She was in last week's, and I kind of like that because Sue in every episode you're sort of like, okay, I don't want Sue that much. Like she's so much, and I feel like with a lot of these characters because they're so over the top.
Yeah.
like you do sometimes need a break where you're like, let's look at somebody else this week because I'm a little tired of you right
Definitely.
now.
Yeah, they're very big
Yes.
characters.
It's a true ensemble show, which much like my favorite show of all time, even though they're different in some ways, Lost is like one of the most, you talk about every character individually, and I like that Glee does that. They didn't do it as much first season, or for the beginning part of first season, and I like that we know a lot about every character. I really appreciate that, but I was kind of thinking in this episode, all right, what the hell? We ended on the kiss.
Right.
And then to not even
not
address it,
Yeah. That's
to not even have it come up, to not see either what the hell happened. I mean, how could they jump back next week to the moment after the kiss? They're not going to. They're gonna in one sentence fill us in on what happened, and like I'm gonna be like, okay, well I didn't see that, and what the hell happened last week? So I think that's annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the
agree.
same thing with the Trouble Tones. Like we didn't even see Mercedes. We saw Mercedes in the audience once. They just quickly showed her, and she smiled, and that was it.
Yeah, definitely.
Non-existent.
And Quinn only for a minute in the little girls
talk.
group.
Girl talk.
Right, and it was like they only put in the girl talk almost to have those characters, even though I did think it was useful to the
But
plot.
Mercedes was not there.
Yeah,
No.
Mercedes was
'Cause
not there
Mercedes
because
hates
Rachel,
Rachel. She wouldn't
they're
go
having
there.
issues.
Yeah.
Okay, what else do we see? We see Rumor Has It and Someone Like You.
Yes, some Adele. It's like an Adele episode.
Hell yeah, I'm
excited.
I'm done with the musical theater right now. I want some kick-ass pop music. Maybe
Yeah.
a good old rock and roll song somewhere.
That would be nice.
Excited to see Santana rock the house because
Yeah.
she does. What's the deal with this dodgeball game?
It just sounds like it's going to get
All
violent.
I heard was like no teachers, no rules, but that was in
For
a
them to
separate
get
scene.
their aggression
so-
out.
Yeah.
I feel like
There's a lot of stuff going on. You know,
Yeah.
like the group is broken up.
so
People don't like each
fractured,
other.
and sometimes you need that like
Yeah.
They want them
outlet.
all together.
Yeah. So just get over
Yes.
it. Like have this big thing and get it done with and deal
And then
with
be
it.
Leave it out on
okay.
the floor.
Hopefully they will leave it out on the floor.
This is Glee. They won't leave it out on the floor.
And who am I kidding? Exactly. Any other predictions from anybody?
I'm just excited to see where this Sebastian thing goes. I'm dreading
too.
it, but I'm also excited because I know he's not going away, and I'm afraid.
What are we thinking? What's going to happen?
Well, if he's not going away, he's obviously going to be around to tempt Blaine more. And now that they've already had sex, I feel like if Blaine were to somehow be swayed, that's going to be really crappy. So I'm afraid. But if he's not going away, obviously he has to be a continued temptation for Blaine, or else there'd be no purpose to his character.
Maybe he'll fall in love with Kurt.
Or
probably
Karofsky? Bring back. Or just bringing
Finn.
everybody back.
Why not?
Or Finn. I don't think so,
Do you
though.
remember when Kurt used to be in love with Finn?
Yes.
Yeah,
He did all sorts of crazy things in love.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Oh, reminiscing about Glee. Love it.
I do want to add, this is not predictions, but a friend of mine tweeted, Tangerine actually, that she lost her virginity to her first love and then told her second love that she was still a virgin so she could start all over again.
Oh, wow.
And that's That's how Sue sees it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think that's it with our predictions and wrapping up the show here.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
unless anybody else has some last minute words of wisdom.
It was so nice
love
being
Glee.
with you
Yeah,
guys tonight.
You're coming back.
Yeah,
We're
you
pulling
have
you back
to.
in. So we will see you guys next week for what seems to be a very interesting episode that we know a lot about
Yeah.
here. So we'll see you then, and hopefully it's as good as it sounds.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
From producers Kevin Undergaro and Phil Svitek, engineer DJ Jesse Janity, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. If you have questions or comments, be sure to buzz us at info@AfterBuzzTV.com. And you can find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.